No, but are you giving that guarantee, ma'am? Are you making a distinction between Hamas and the Palestinian people? Just as you say Israelis have suffered, the Palestinians are turning around and saying
But of
66,000
course,
civilians have died. Many are
but
suffering from
hold on.
malnutrition. Are
Look,
you giving a guarantee, ma'am, that once the hostages are released, there will be no further bombings or there will be no siege of Gaza?
look, this would mean that there is a ceasefire into place. It means that Hamas will need to accept what the Arab world and what the Palestinians have accepted, which is the second phase. It means right now that if Hamas would have accepted the deal, it means a long-lasting peace and stability, maybe a beginning of a path as the plan of Trump that speaks about economical prosperity and a different education of a population that's been indoctrinated by Hamas to terror. It was very easy to recruit terrorists of Hamas from a population that's been indoctrinated for years by a terrorist organization. If we want a path to peace, which is what the Arab countries understand and the Palestinian Authority understand, and there are guarantees by those countries and by the Americans as well, then Hamas has to agree to the terms of the peace plan of Trump.
But given what I'm hearing from you, there is a huge trust deficit. The Israeli government doesn't trust Hamas and whether Hamas will fully disarm. They in turn do not trust whether you will actually abide by what they claim is the first phase and ensure that there will be no further bombings. This huge
Hold
trust
on.
deficit, how is that going to overcome? Is this therefore
Look.
only a temporary peace or will it be a durable peace?
Look, this was very clear. Every time there was a ceasefire, every time Israel has signed any kind of document or agreement, Israel fulfilled and committed and obliged by everything that we've signed on. Unfortunately, we've seen it is Hamas, a terrorist organization, it is Hezbollah in Lebanon that actually did not commit and did not fulfill the commitment they signed on. Okay? And so you don't need to ask us whether we will fulfill the agreement we sign on. We've already proven that Israel fulfilled and committed and obliged by what we sign on. It is Hamas, the terrorist organization that time after time broke ceasefire agreement and broke what it actually signed on. Let me tell you an example. 10 years ago, during the operation of Protective Edge, Israel and Hamas signed an agreement backed by the international community for a ceasefire after another round of war. 4 hours after that ceasefire was signed, Hamas has went out of its tunnels, murdered Israeli troops, abducted 2 soldiers into the dungeons of torture, and have been holding them for 10 years now. Okay, so if you're asking me about who's actually violating time after time a ceasefire, how come Israel did not receive the guaranteed it was promised? And those hostages for 10 years are being held in Hamas captivity. This question you have to ask Hamas because Israel proved time after time that we have always committed and always fulfilled the agreements we sign on.
Ms. Haskell, how much credit are you giving Donald Trump for what has happened? Because Mr. Trump seems to be taking all the credit. There are also reports that Mr. Trump talked tough to Benjamin Netanyahu, saying, you can't run the world, Bibi, and that he has drawn a red line even with Israel. Has Donald Trump, do you give Donald Trump the full credit for this peace plan if it is executed?
Look, there isn't a better friend to Israel than President Trump. And he's proven that time after time. If it wasn't for the military pressure Hamas put on Hezbollah and the massive diplomatic and bilateral pressure that Donald Trump put on Hezbollah and on Lebanon, you wouldn't have seen a ceasefire there. It's the same with Iran. It's the same with the last ceasefire of Hamas. The fact is that Hamas has agreed to every ceasefire until now for 2 reasons. One is the military pressure, and the other one is Trump's identification of who the aggressor is and put enough pressure on Hamas to actually accept the deal. Look, it's been very difficult. And I know in many cases, President Trump have brokered and negotiated many deals, including India and Pakistan, including the Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda, including now with Ukraine and Russia. The fact is that, on a contrast to the international community, the United Nations and other, he's not concentrating on a process. He's concentrating on the result. And the fact is that Trump's putting pressure on Hamas brought those results of peace and stability until now. And I really hope that in the next few hours, we will witness another one.